One of the ways that you can get the data out of DXFleet is to use our transaction API. The transaction API allows you to call the transaction database and query, in essence, the transactions for a given day and time and site under your organization. So in order to do that, you first need to request access be given to you. There are a few things required. Our team would need to provide you with client ID, client secret, and enable a subscription for you. And with those details in hand, you can follow this transaction API document and you can get your transaction API configured. There is a different API call for staging versus production. They both have different URLs that are highlighted in this document. So I just wanted to kind of go over what that process looked like and what would be required. So when you look at the document, there's two API calls that need to happen. The first is we are going to do a post, and the post is going to just give us authorization. So we're going to put in our client ID and client secret. Again, that's provided by our team to your access. So once you have the client ID and client secret, you will configure the client ID, client secret, and it will give you a access token. With that bearer token, you could then move on to the second URL, which is a GET, and you're doing the GET in essence to basically say, I would like to get all transaction details for my organization ID, for my site ID, for this date and time to this date and time. And with that URL configured with your own organization ID and site ID, you can the API to get those transaction details. So again, my team can create the access for you. We can share some screenshots on how this is configured and tested. However, if you would like to configure it for your own purposes, we can provide the details and you can use this document to create whatever API call that is sufficient to you, integrate it with your own third-party application. So I just wanted to try to share this document. It will go over the responses and give you some examples here on how that is working. It'll show you what some of the headers are and things that are in there. And I want to kind of just give you a quick overview of what the configuration looks like in case you have some concerns or some questions. So let me share my screen here and I will show you what that process looked like. So this is just not official data. I blanked out any of the actual API call data. But if you look over here, you have the post and the URL that's pointed to staging or production. You're going to put your subscription key here, and you're going to put your client ID and client secret here in the body. It is important that you use a raw JSON format, or you might get an error if you do not. After you do this, you will get an access token down here. You could use that token to create the GET. So you put your bearer token in the authorization. You're using the new URL for the GET. And this is basically going to be your organization ID, your site ID, the date, and then this last 4 digits is the time. So this is 1201, and then this is 1159 in a 24-hour one. After you put in the URL for the date and time that you're looking for, you also want to put your subscription key in the header on the GET, and then you can hit send, and you should get the data that is populated in this URL. And that's basically the transaction API, how it gets configured, and how you get access. Again, if you have any questions on this, you need to request access. You need to submit a ticket asking for transaction API access. At this time, we're not sharing any additional APIs, so really get transactions is what we have. It is a read-only access to the database. We also ask that you only pull it once a day to reduce any sort of traffic demands that are on DXFleet. We don't want to cause congestion with this API. So we would recommend doing the API once in the morning for yesterday's transactions. And then that should be sufficient to get the data out of DX Fleet into whatever third-party application that you need that may support the transaction API. If you need any sort of additional troubleshooting after the API access is granted, feel free to submit a ticket and we can address those issues as they come up. One thing that's common on the configuration side is just ensuring that you're using, one, the right URLs. Two, if you're using Synergy versus an FSC 3000, the URL is a little bit different for that. So we have two transaction API documents. And also just making sure your date and time actually have transaction data in the API or in DX Fleet that the API can't call. If you try to call a transaction that does not exist in DX Fleet today, you will get a no content error. So if you want to have a successful call, you need to use the date and time ranges that actually have transaction data in there if you want to get a valid intent for the transaction API. So that's just a quick overview of the API. Our team is not really responsible for configuring it on your end. So if you do have problems, you may need to work with your own T-staff to get that API call configured. But we're more than welcome to help and assist as we can, especially if you're having a problem with your API subscription or you can't get the basic URLs to work. So if you have any questions on that, we'd definitely be able to explore it further. All right, thank you.